I just met her backstage. She's awesome. You'll get a chance to meet her. Her character has enduring appeal. It's earned her numerous honors and awards over the course of the last several decades. Her most recent roles in television and film include appearances as Carol on NBC's This Is Us, as Diana Dubois on the Fox TV series Empire. Some of you may have seen that. As Libba Gardner in Pixar's Academy Award-winning animated feature Soul. Did you know she was in that? I didn't know that. And many, many other roles. Did you also know that she is a two-time Tony Award winner? She was recognized, yes, she was recognized for her portrayals of Lena Younger and Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun, and as Faye in Dominique Morisseau's Skeleton Crew. Did you also know that Miss Rashad is making her debut as a Broadway producer with this season's revival of Ossie Davis's Pearly Victorious? She is an acclaimed director. She will be directing Steppenwolf Theater's production of Brandon Jacob Jenkins' Purpose in 2024. Please join me and welcome actor, director, inaugural holder of the Toni Morrison Endowed Chair in Arts and Humanities, and the Dean of the Chadwick Boseman College of Fine Arts at Howard University. Please welcome Felecia Rashad. All right, all right. I have been looking forward to this for weeks. It is such a pleasure to get to know you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Of course.
With my people.
That's right. America's Mom, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, I don't know if you like that. I am of that generation that just worshiped you every time you showed up on television. So this is all that. This is all that. So let's get to know you just a bit. I have a handful of questions here, but before we jump in, I'd love to know a little bit more about your background. So maybe tell us a bit about growing up in Houston. Tell us about the family. What was it like back in the day?
Back in the day, you could look up at the night sky and see all the stars. You could in the city of Houston. You can't see but 3 now because it's a light. Back in the day, I grew up in one of several African communities in Houston, Texas, 3rd Ward area. All right. Yeah. But I remember the smell of freshly cut grass and blue skies and my friends and how we roamed the neighborhood freely all day, every day, from sunup to sundown. I remember art in our home. John Biggers was he was a regular visitor because he and my mother were very good friends. He actually illustrated her second book. I remember Paul Lawrence Dunbar Elementary School and what it was like to walk to school every morning, when you could do that without your parents holding your hand and you get there safely. I remember community, that's what I remember. And Texas Southern University was in the heart of our community. And everybody lived in the community, professional people, small business owners, domestic workers. We all lived in the same community. And it was warm, and it was safe, and you felt free. I remember that more than anything. I remember feeling free. I felt free because I felt nurtured and I felt protected. I knew I was cared for, not only by my family, but by members of the community.
So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your family. Your parents met back in the day in the segregated South, but
Excuse me, my parents met back in the day in the segregated Washington, D.C.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I'm sorry. I'd love to hear those stories. And what about your siblings?
well, okay, so my father, Dr. Henry Allen, graduate of Howard University College of Medicine. My mother, Vivian Ayers, is from the mill town of Chester, South Carolina. Her father was a blacksmith. Her mother was a seamstress who attended Hampton University. Yes. What is she doing? My father grew up on a farm. He was one of 10 children born on a farm in Lawndale, Louisiana. And his father was the first African American fireman on the South Pacific Railroad. And he determined that all of his children should go to college. And he afforded all 9 of his children, well, there was one who passed. He afforded them all a college education. He said
Education.
that
Education. And so, and your mother just celebrated a milestone, I understand.
her centennial birthday.
What a history, what a background. And with all of that as a foundation, you found yourself in the entertainment industry. So talk a little bit about how
That happened through literature and art. My mother's a writer, and there was always literature everywhere, and there was art everywhere. And we studied piano and viola and dancing. This is what people used to do. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily that everybody who went to dance class was going to be a dancer, but it was like a cultural thing in some communities, in some African American communities. On Saturday, you went to the Bateau studio and you're going to, fool around with ballet, tap. We did things like that. It was through art. It wasn't necessarily through the lens of entertainment. So it was always towards an artistic development.
I see. So what were some of your earlier roles in the art or entertainment space? What led up to Claire Hustle? That's what I'm curious about.
Ooh, child. Well, there was a lot of off way off Broadway. Way off. And this was after that. Sure. And he was just happy to be working. I was just happy to be working. Anyway, I didn't care. I didn't care if I was earning $50 a week. I was working. And it was good to be working. So that went on for a while. And then came the Broadway ventures. The first one was Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death, as an understudy for 4 roles. And after that came The Wiz, understudy for Glinda, the Witch of the South, while being a munchkin, a quadling, a Wednesday.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, he's the wind that he lives in our I'm still remember the choreography. We had so much fun. It was, I was in the Wiz on Broadway for 3.5 years on my little munchkin.
Okay.
And then at one point, I had a real big disappointment. I was understudying Glinda, the British assistant, and Dee Dee Bridgewater was playing the role. Dee Dee was going to California to do the LA company, so I'm an understudy. I'm gonna be Glinda, right? No. The second they cast. And I sat down on my little munchkin stool and just breathing really deeply so tears didn't form in my eyes. And I decided, well, maybe I ought to take a sabbatical. Maybe I just let me just step back. So they gave me a sabbatical and I went to Los with Debbie.
Okay.
With Debbie, and my son was very young at the time. We went to Los Angeles, and there I did some television work. And the people were trying to convince me to stay in Los Angeles, right? And then I went to see a chorus. And when I saw a chorus line, and everybody in the play was in the chorus, I remembered why I was sitting on emotions. Because that was my work. And that, I loved it. And I wanted to get back. And I did. It would be a series of ups and downs, wins and losses. But that's the way life is. And it's certainly that way in entertainment.
Gotta pay your dues.
You better.
Yeah. And with all of those setbacks and with that foundation, you ended up on one of the most popular television shows in TV history. What was that like?
You know, I was thinking about that this morning. You know, well, I wasn't thinking about the impact that the show was having while we were. I was so busy having fun. And it was a culmination of things for me because all of those years as an understudy, I didn't understand exactly what it was affording me in terms of skill sets. All of that served me very well. I could turn on a dime. I could step into something in an instant. I could be calm and sit back and just look at the person I was talking to and communicate everything without a word. I learned all that being an understudy. But I wasn't really focused on what it was meaning globally. As Bishop Tutu came to the show one day and met him, met a lot of people. Mary Anderson came one day, met Mary Anderson. We worked with some people I had long admired. It's only now, only after, when I go to some place, let's say so many years later, and I'll meet someone who pushes through a crowd to say, I'm from Germany. And it would be a black person. I'm from Germany. And in Germany, we didn't have anything. We had nothing. But when your show came, we had everything. When I met Nelson Mandela, he thanked me. He said, I watched your show. I watched it when I was on Robbins Island. I watched it with my God. It softened. Wow.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So we have a room full of MBA candidates, MBA graduates,
Yes.
business leaders,
Yes.
all of which can benefit from and are learning from your story. So what advice would you offer for folks who are looking to be leaders in the future, for folks who are thinking forward at this point?
Make your work service. Yeah. Truthfully, when I understood my work to be service, that's when my career changed. When it became service. Service to the play, service to the playwright, service to the other performers, the designers, the crew, but most of all to the audience. When I offered my work as service, that's when my career began to change.
Service, I love that. Absolutely love that. So you made the transition from the creative space, if you will, to the academic space. What has that transition been like? How is it to be the dean at Howard?
Oh, man. Now you talk about a leap. First of all, I consider it a leap of faith to have been selected to fulfill this role because Although I have worked in academia as an adjunct instructor, I don't consider myself an academician by means. I haven't spent years, so I had to learn things fast. And it wouldn't have been possible without the help of some very special people. And I mean people like Provost Newton, President Frederick, A.P. Dark, and Dr. Tashini Floyd, and the assistant dean, Denise Saunders Thompson, and the faculty, and that staff of people, and all the well-wishers across the university community. I was welcomed as if I was supposed to be there. And it made me feel like, okay, I guess I'm here. Let's get down to it. But you don't do things by yourself. You don't accomplish great work by yourself. It just doesn't happen. And it's so important to recognize and acknowledge the contributions that help the accomplishments of others who support you. It's so important. If I were to say, oh, I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that, I wouldn't be telling the truth. Because I haven't done this by myself. I have had great support.
That's right. That's right. Teamwork. So if I am a student sitting under your training and leadership, what lessons am I learning from you and from your team? What are you teaching that next generation of talent?
I'm insisting that they lean into the class. Don't worry about being seen. You know, this generation comes through in time with social media.
Yes.
And everything is on display. Everything is on. And somehow they, coming back after COVID, this is what they were longing to do, was to be seen. And I want them to be seen, but I wanted them to be seen in the best light. And in order for that to happen, you gotta lean into the craft. You gotta do the work. You gotta understand what that work is and really commit. One of the first things I learned in my freshman year at Howard University, in the College of Fine Arts, in the Department of Drama, was there were a lot of parties and football games I was not going to go to. Because I would be in that theater, building a set, sewing costumes, moving a set, or rehearsing. And people who weren't in that discipline didn't quite understand it all the time. The arts are very demanding. Artistic discipline is like, when you really get into it and give yourself to it, it's like being in the military, but with love. That's
Yeah, most people don't see the work that happens behind the scenes. They see the final output.
right. But that's okay, as long as it touches,
That's right.
as long as it speaks. That's all.
That's right.
But we have to know.
Of course.
The artists need to know. And right now, I'm of a mind that educating people. So I'm beginning to ask fellow artists and arts instructors to really speak of what we do in another light. I'm asking them to acknowledge the academic disciplines that are inherent in the arts. Because most times, people just think we just get up in the morning and do what we do.
That's right.
And nothing can be part of it.
That's right. Yeah. You don't see the hours of preparation and
Research.
Yes.
Study.
Right.
Back and forth.
Sure.
Fallouts. Knock down, drag out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have.
It sounds a lot like business school to me.
It is. It's business too. It is.
It really does. So along the themes of thinking forward, Now, what are you looking forward to? What kind of projects are you working on these days? Tell us a little bit about what's keeping you busy.
Oh, well, let's see. At the university, on Monday evening, prima ballerina Misty Coker is coming to our artist theater for the screening of her film Flower. This is, I can't wait, because this is where art intersects with public policy. The theme of her work has to do with inequity, housing inequity, generation, and it's all dance. Arts intersect.
Of course.
I'm really, really happy about that. One of our professors, Professor Fred Irving, who is the director of the Howard University Jazz Ensemble, has been teaching at Howard for 50 years. And this is his last year. And I am determined that these concerts, these last concerts, will not be down. They're going to be somewhere where they can really be seen like I've been invited by the dean of the chapel to create a Sunday worship service based on the art, coming from the arts. I'm looking forward to that. Then professionally, even when I'm still at Howard, I will be at the Kennedy Center. And also I'll be in Rochester and Carnegie Hall with Winter Marcellus's Fiddler's Tale.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that. And when all is said and done, at the end of this academic year, I'm looking forward to a nap. Why not? Why not? And there's some offers, I receive offers for upcoming Broadway productions and the like. And I say, let me take the nap. But I look forward to continuing my work, and I look forward to continuing my association, my affiliation with Howard University.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Absolutely. What I'm hearing from you are so many reasons why you are there. We are lucky to have you. My last question is more of looking for advice, not just for me, but for the future business leaders here in the room. You have a background steeped in the arts, which I think is a discipline that encourages creative thinking. What advice do you have? How can us as future leaders tap into that creative side to be better leaders in the future? What advice do you have for us?
Creative energy exists in all of us. It just does. If you think about yourselves, all the way back to when you were like this, as soon as you could stand, you were dancing. Before you could read a word, you were drawing a picture. And as infants, you sang. Babies do that. Creativity is fundamental to human growth and development. It is not foreign to any of us. Now, how do we direct it? That's the key. Do you want to do the same thing the same way, the formula that everybody uses? Or do you want to take that formula and distill it? And distill it into your own passion, your own direction. How can you direct your energies to the creation of equity among people? and still profit and still be successful? How can you direct your energies towards teaching the next generation? There'll be much for them to learn and so many distractions for them to do. This room is filled with important people. Each and every one of you. There is enough power in this room to uplift the whole world. Yeah. Yeah. You can do that. Will you uplift the world by doing the same thing the same way that it was done all the time? Or will you strike a chord with yourself and enter into an agreement to ask yourselves, how creative can I be? It's up to you.
That's absolutely amazing and terrific advice. Absolutely. Well, it has been an honor and a privilege and a goal of mine that I just achieved to sit here and have this conversation with Ms. Rashad. Please join me in giving Felecia Rashad an amazing round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. And so I'm going to turn things over now to my colleague from Nationwide, Vice President of Enterprise Marketing, Mr. Brad Barnett.
My goodness, I'm not sure it gets much better than what you just heard from, the amazing Felecia Rashad and my boss. Make sure you give him an extra, special round of applause from me. Now, for the audience in the room, I got something I need you to do. So whether you're a pen and paper person or you're more digitally inclined, pull out your phone or your notes app, because I'm about to do what the kids say, which is drop some knowledge on you. Now, as you leave the room, you're going to have plenty of options on events and sessions that you can attend. Now, I might be a little bit biased, but I think you'd be doing yourself a giant disservice if you didn't check out Nationwide's Meet the Expert session. In that session, we're going to build off of a topic that we brought to you last year, how culture is big business. You might remember we brought the iconic Dapper Dan to that conversation last year. And this year is going to be no different. We have amazing panelists lined up. We've got our Senior Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Giovanni Lucas, there to moderate the session, and we can't wait to see all of you there. Now here's where the pen and paper or the notes app come into play. This session is in the Convention Center at 2:15 at room 118. It's 2:15, room 118. I promise you, you won't be disappointed, so please come join us for that. If you've been to a Nationwide luncheon before, I see some folks leaving. They're going to miss out on surprises. You've been to a Nationwide luncheon before. If you stick it out to the end, you have a chance to win something. So if you guys could all please do me a favor. Check under your seats. And if someone just freed up a seat, check theirs for them. If you see a card under your seat, you are the proud winner of a pair of Bose Quiet Comfort wireless headphones. So if that's you, put your hand up. Come on up to the stage. We've got some staff here that will hook you up. Thank you again for attending today's luncheon. And I know you already heard this from Blue Yarborough. We're going to sing it. We're going to sing it together. Ready? Nationwide is on your side. Thank you.
Do we have a winner? Did somebody win? I want to thank everybody for coming out. We had a great conversation with the amazing Ms. Felecia Rashad. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. As I said earlier, take in the career fair, take in the sessions, take in the knowledge, and do good work, do good things, and apparently do it in service, as Ms. Rashad said. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.